Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dietrich, and today we are test driving a 2025 Hyundai Sonata. This is an SEL Hybrid model. The Hybrid Sonata has 192 horsepower. Who knows how much torque? Hyundai won't tell us that. That's one more horsepower than the standard 2.5 liter four-cylinder engine in the Sonata. Weirdly, it has two fewer gears. We have a 6-speed automatic in the Hybrid Sonata versus an 8-speed automatic in the non-hybrid. Overall, the powertrain is pretty good, but not great. It's not quite as smooth as the class leaders in smoothness, which I would consider to be the Accord Hybrid and the new Camry, which all of those are hybrids. Especially if you put it into sport mode. There's two drive modes on this Sonata Hybrid. You have Eco, which is what we're in now, and then you have Sport. And if you put it in sport mode, the shifts between the gasoline engine being on or off are very pronounced. They're not quite as bad in eco mode, but you know, people like to hate on CVT transmissions, but strictly from a smoothness perspective, this car could probably benefit from one, because the 6-speed automatic is not always the smoothest thing in the world. You know, it does its job relatively well, but it's just, the hybrid powertrain in this car does fall short of the best in the class. And it also falls way short of its EPA rating based on the fuel economy test that I did last night. I'll put a link to that in the description for you. But driving-wise, other than the powertrain, which isn't bad, it's just not as good as it could be, it's a pretty nice car to drive. The ride is very comfortable. The seats are very comfortable. The steering is fine. It's relatively quiet. That's, well, the engine just shut itself off. That's 62 on a halfway decent road, and I'm getting almost no tire noise. I am getting a little bit of wind noise, but not a lot. The steering is accurate. It is numb, but that's true of almost every new car. But yeah, overall, it is a nice car to drive. The powertrain is a disappointment. The hybrid powertrain could be better in this car, and should be better, quite frankly. Hyundai has really improved their quality and their designs in the last, I mean, really going back about 15 years now to the debut of the original Hyundai Genesis model. And of course, now they've spun Genesis off into their own brand. And, you know, it's gotten to the point with Hyundai and Kia where I think design-wise, they're doing much more interesting things with exterior design, and in some cases with interior design, than the more mainstream players, you know, which at this point is basically Honda, Toyota, Nissan. I certainly like the way that this car looks on the outside compared to an Accord or a Camry. But when it comes down to the details, it's still, you know, there's still a half a step behind the Hondas and the Toyotas of the world, and you can kind of feel that. You know, in this car, it comes from the drivetrain refinement. I drove a Hyundai Kona Limited, which I absolutely, like, I loved everything about that car except for the way it drove. Like, everything was above average except for the drive. The drive was kind of meh. So they're close, you know, and they still present a good value, even though they're not as significantly cheaper as their competitors as they used to be. They still have a better warranty, but boy, oh boy, you better do all those oil changes and have all those records if you wanted to pay out on that 100,000 mile powertrain deal. Yeah, it's just, the powertrain is just not making me happy in this car, unfortunately. And I drive a lot of new cars, so I have a pretty specific idea of what I think a new car should be able to be capable of. And this one, you can feel it a little bit when the gasoline engine turns on or off. And in, its competitors, you really can't 99% of the time. And you also hear you hear the gas engine a little bit more in this one too. And because it only has a 6-speed automatic, it runs at higher RPM. I was doing my fuel economy test last night, and one reason why it did so poorly, when I do a fuel economy test, I do it on the highway, and I set the smart cruise control at 70 miles per hour, and I go down 55, 57 miles, and I come back and I fill it up before I leave, and then I come back to the exact same gas station and fill it up. When the gas engine was on in this car last night, when I was doing 70, it was turning 2,400 RPM. And that's a lot for a modern car to be turning at 70 miles per hour. And that's a limitation of the gears, I don't know why Hyundai didn't use their 8-speed automatic in this car. But yeah, people can hate on me for saying it, but it would be better with a CVT, baby. Let's see, we're gonna put it into sport. We're gonna let this Porsche go by. And we're gonna make a slightly ill-advised U-turn. And we're gonna floor it. Oh, feel the power. The acceleration is fine. It certainly has enough power to get on the highway and go. And I have driven it on the highway quite a bit. The handling is good. The ride is good. I like pretty much everything about this car except for the hybrid powertrain. I guess if I was going to give somebody some advice on one of these, I guess, yeah, buy one, but don't get the hybrid. I drove one a Sonata a couple of years ago that was the N with the turbo engine. That thing was fun. That's the one, any car ding-dong enthusiast, journalist, writing for a magazine, strapping a GoPro to their head, filming themselves driving one and putting it on the internet like anybody cares what they think, is gonna tell you to buy the turbo. Because it's fast and it's fun. And I did like that car more than I like this car. But realistically, if you are just a person looking for a practical sedan to get you from point A to point B and to be comfortable and affordable, I would actually say go for the standard 4-cylinder engine. Don't get the hybrid, don't bother, because the fuel economy gain, from what I can see, is not massive, and I'm sure you can buy, a similarly equipped 4-cylinder for a couple thousand less, and you can buy a lot of gasoline with a couple of $1,000s. So yeah, I would say just buy that. Just forget the hybrid, and the Sonata's a nice car, but I wouldn't recommend this version of it. If you want a hybrid in this class, probably my number one recommendation would probably be the new Camry. Maybe the Accord if you prefer the way it looks or something. The Accord's, even though technically it's not a newer design, it kind of is if you know the backstory between the cars. But I think if a friend of mine came to me and said, hey, I want a hybrid mid-size brand new 4-door sedan, I'd say, hey, you might as well get a Camry. Maybe an Accord. I would like to have a hybrid car someday, and I've felt that way for a long time because I like the concept. Let's see if I can pull up hybrid. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Where it tells you what it's doing and stuff. And I think hybrids are cool. I do. And I would like to have a car that gets good gas mileage, because both of the cars that I have now, and One of them has a 4.6 liter V8 and the other one has a 6 liter twin turbo V12. So they both get horrible gas mileage. But I don't know, every time I end up buying a car, I just buy one that doesn't get good mileage. So one of these days I'll put my money where my mouth is, but I don't know when that's gonna be. The only time I tried to buy a car that was noted for its gas mileage, it was a diesel Volkswagen Jetta station wagon, but it was after they had done the emissions fix, how Volkswagen cheated on the emissions tests. And after they fixed them, they didn't get as good a mileage as they did before they fixed them. So that car always kind of disappointed me. I think the best tank I ever got out of it was like 43 miles a gallon, and I just couldn't get it to do any better than that. And I tried, but... And that was what I got out of this last night, spoiler alert. And it's supposed to be rated at 51 on the highway. So anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say about this new Hyundai Sonata SEL Hybrid. I will put a link to my full review and my fuel economy test in the description if you'd like to check those out. And yeah, please like my video and subscribe to my channel, and have yourself a fantastic day. Bye-bye.